This is a 2007 335i. As such, it did not come with an oil cooler from the factory. They installed those on the 2008 models onward, but you can add it to this car as long as you find the right parts, which I have done. I got mine in a junkyard. You can buy yours from wherever, but I'm going to show you how to install these on the car. So let's get started. All right, pictured here is almost everything that you need. Let's start with this. This is the oil filter housing. It has an integrated oil cooler, a place for the oil cooler lines to bolt to. And you see that I have two of them. This is the first one that I got, and I sort of wasn't too happy with it. You see I've cleaned it up and everything. I wasn't too happy because the coolant passages are kind of crusty and stuff. So I was on the lookout for another one, and I found it in this. I just recently cleaned it up, and these coolant passages are a lot cleaner on the inside and stuff, so I'm happier with this one. I'm going to install this one on the car. This bolt is to bolt the oil cooler lines onto it right here. Okay, we'll be able to reuse the old cap and the bolts. I just, they came with this, so I have them. You need the cooler lines. This is where it actually bolts up to the thing, kind of right there, okay? So you need those cooler lines, and you need new O-rings for the ends. I've got those. As far as gaskets go, you need new gaskets for the inside of this. This one, I think it already had both of its gaskets changed because these ones look basically brand new, but I have these anyway, so I'll throw those on. There's a gasket on the bottom, and then there's a gasket in between here and here. There is another gasket here, but they don't sell it for some reason. So if you're getting a used one, you maybe want to check that to see if it's all hard and dry rotted and stuff. If it is, you need a new one of those. So this bracket is definitely important. This is what the oil cooler is going to bolt to. So this is gonna go on the engine, I think probably something like that. I forget exactly which, it has to go this way actually. So it goes like that, and this is what the oil cooler bolts to. So it'll bolt in through there like that. Now you'll notice there's another little bracket right here that actually bolts to the leg, the frame of the car, but there's this little piece that you have to put into a hole. So I have that as well, along with the bolt for it. The bolt does not come with it. That's just the bolt that I have. So you need that as well. And as far as this thing goes, the oil cooler, you're gonna need this piece of trim which bolts to it like that. And that's what directs the air over into and across the fins there. And you need the bolts for it. So those bolts they look a little something like that. They're kind of long, and the threads are very coarse. Now, when it comes to the oil coolers, I actually have 3 of these. You see that I've straightened the fins on this one as best I can. I cleaned all the rocks out of it, cleaned all the dirt out of it. I have 3 of them, and the other two are kind of bent. Because those, if you kind of look at it straight on, you can see it's kind of bent. The whole thing is bent because I think those vehicles were in front-end collisions or something. So something you gotta look out for. That's generally something that I would prefer in a car because it proves that the car was moving under its own power at quite a bit of speed when it got into the accident it got into that landed it in the junkyard. So you don't want one from a car that's just kind of looking pristine and looks like it didn't get into an accident. That car might have, thrown a bearing or whatever, and it might have, particles all in the oil system, including the oil cooler. I've checked this one. I've made sure to run oil through it. I checked the oil that came out of it. Absolutely nothing. Everything is fine with it. So I feel confident putting it on the car. Anyway, I will have the part numbers for all this stuff listed in the description of this video, but this is not everything you need. You need one more thing. You need this. You need a different trim piece for the wheel well, because this is where the air is going to exhaust from the oil cooler, the air that goes over the oil cooler. So the thing sort of fits a little bit like that in the car, and that's the exhaust for it. So yeah, that's the one you have on your car right now does not have this big hole cut in it. So you're gonna need this piece, and then you need, I think they probably sell this little louvered piece separately, and they might even sell this door separately, but your old one might have one that you can switch over. We'll find out. One thing I wanna mention is that right now the oil runs at about 230 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the normal sort of operating temperature without the oil cooler. And I don't expect, after installing this oil cooler, for that temperature to drop in any way. I think that this car is designed to operate at that kind of a temperature. And that for that reason, they actually sell aftermarket sport oil cooler thermostats. There's actually, there's an old-fashioned sort of thermostat inside here with a little wax on the inside. There's this kind of piston that gets pushed out by wax that melts at a certain temperature, and that's what opens up the valve. And so the aftermarket sport valve probably just has a lower temperature at which that wax melts and pushes the little piston out and opens up, allowing the oil to actually run a little bit cooler all the time. So that's an option if you, I guess, are having issues where I think it really, it's an issue if you see your temperatures creep up above 230 Fahrenheit on your oil temperature. That's when you might want to consider that valve. But I think these engines are designed to run that hot in order for efficiency and things like that. So something to note. All right, we got to jack the car up, put it on jack stands. I always put it on 4 jack stands to be as safe as possible. We got to remove the front bumper and then remove the fender liner. All right, guys, unfortunately, we have to remove the bumper, but fortunately, it's all 8mm fasteners. So first we're going to do this splash shield under here, all 8mm. Pro tip, put the bolts with the part, especially on bigger, longer jobs. It's always a little easier when you have just a couple of bolts with the part that it goes with. It's easier to remember. To get the front bumper off, we definitely have to remove this bolt and this bolt, and I think there should be a couple along down here, which I didn't remove yet. One right there, and probably that's it for the bumper. So we'll remove those for sure, but we're also going to remove this bolt and this one because that's what's holding, also this one here, that's what's holding the whole splash shield in here as well, and we got to change that. And like I said, yeah, we could probably reuse this door. I think it's probably the same door. Oh, and that's a 10mm right there. I forgot about that. See if this just easily comes out of here. Yeah, it comes out right there. Get this out of there, and look at that. Just comes right out. So you see there's this little piece of plastic covering the hole right here. That's where that little adapter is going to fit into, and part of the oil cooler is going to bolt to it. And then this duct, we're going to remove that because we're going to replace it. So when removing the bumper, we do also have to remove these 2 bolts up here. They are 8mm. So this one, special bolt, and this one right here. So it's always easiest when you're doing the bumper to just remove this whole entire panel from inside here. It's just easier. And while I'm here, I'm going to unhook the fog lamp as well as the horn. Boom, fog lamp and horn. There's another one going up and around here. I can't really get to it right now. Those same bolts get removed from the other side. And then this guy and this guy. So at this point, only thing holding the bumper on are these 3 or 4 T30 bolts on the top here. That should just slide right off. Like that. Right there, get it unhooked. Oh, looks like whatever wire that was, it was not attached to the bumper. So we have this duct right here, which we need to remove to make way for this new duct. And that thing is actually bolted on underneath right there. Remove that and away it comes. By the way, if I didn't mention that this is going to be major car surgery, it's going to be major car surgery. We need to remove the headlights next. Okay, to unbolt the headlight, first let's disconnect it. Okay, so we're gonna take the headlight out along with the bracket that it's sitting in. The headlight is bolted into the bracket here, and then 2 places up top, I believe. Can't remember if there's a lower one, but the bracket itself, which is this piece coming along right here, it's bolted in right here. Sorry, hope we can see that right there. These are all T30s, so I'm gonna remove that one. And then there are another 2 here. 1 and 2 right there. And then finally, there are 2 more on the top here. So that should allow the whole headlight unit to come out, which it does. So it's gonna go the same on the other side. Unbolt the bolt from back here. And then these 2 guys over here. And the 2 ones on top. So I'm also gonna remove that same duct from this side. Again, just that lower bolt right there. The reason we're doing that is because we actually have to remove the rear bumper, this whole piece right here, and it's just a little easier. Get that out of the way so we can get access to the bottom bolts here and the top bolts right here. And there's also this little brace piece right here. T30, get that out of the way. Now I think we can just remove those bolts, see if that's all we gotta do. 13s, of course. Let's just hit those. Same thing on this side. There is a wire that's clipped into some stuff right here. Let me see if I can get that out. That's gonna stay behind. My little clip is broken off here. This one is not, so I will undo it. Believe it or not, guys, the actual whole front of the car needs to come all the way off in order to change this bracket around the back. I had forgotten about this. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. There should be T20s holding your little scoop on. Mine is, my bolts are stripped out on either side. The ear on this side is gone altogether. That's gotta come off now. There's 2 latches. Well, there's one here and there's one here. And they both kind of, they have Bowden cables that go up over to here, and there's a little junction box up here. We're gonna go ahead and undo it there. So here is that junction box like I was talking about. It should sort of unsnap. I chose the wrong pick shape, but there we go. So it's really just this little ball, it unhooks, and this should unsnap from, it looks like it's snapped down onto the metal here. You can just sort of work it out. I'll show you what the fasteners look like. They're little things you pinch on either side. Haha. So they're just these little things. You just sort of, I was just pinching it in on one side and the other side gave way. So that's pretty simple. So I think we also need to take this off. I'm kind of hoping that part of this stays behind. The part that the radiator is attached to. I don't remember this part. It probably was that this was already detached when I was in the junkyard. Hey, there we go. Okay, pull that out. I'm just hoping that this metal piece comes out and this inner piece kind of stays behind, because that would be easier. If I'm right, the only thing holding this on at this point are these 2 metal, or these 2 10 mil fasteners up here. Ooh, they are a lot longer than I thought they were. So the radiator is held to this assembly by these bolts here. They're just like big plastic things. They're big threaded plastic, and that's kind of what holds the radiator assembly in place. You see these on a lot of cars. It's like a rubber mount, a way for the thing to sort of flex the radiator. So this is a T50. I'm just gonna remove these. Now let's see, where are we? Oh yeah, we're making progress. There's some lines held into a bracket up on top here. I think, oh, these lines can stay. It was just the electrical cable that needed to come. And ooh, I think that was pretty much it, man. That was all. There is a wiring harness held in over on this side, which is one of those, as I call, Christmas tree fasteners. And let's see, are we attached to anything here? Oh, there's some wiring going across here, which I should probably remove first. I think it'll just be easier. Yeah, wiring along the front, which I had meant to remove. See this wiring here? Where does that go? Oh, there's a little sensor in here. Must be the temperature sensor. They located it in a better place than it was on the E46. Okay, boom, this just comes right off. Hey, that was actually pretty easy. It's easy once you know how to do it, you know? So there's that front mount intercooler, which we're going to be changing as part of our one of our upcoming mods that I'm about to get into. And you can see that cavity above it, which is where that sort of stepped design comes in. That's why they design them in such a way. They make them steps so that they fit up around here, and then they fit in this little cavity here. So I don't think there's anything in particular holding this bracket on right now, other than the fact that there's this little curved tooth at the top, just sort of preventing it from falling right out. And you can see that this is sitting down in this little bracket right here, which is essentially holding up the radiator and the intercooler and all that. So I've got my floor jack here to hold it while I just sort of mess around here and see if I can get this out. I think it's maybe as simple as pulling the front out, lifting up, and then pulling out. Yeah, that is essentially all it was. Oh, it looks like this bracket is going to get transferred over. Aha, it's a big snap like that. So yeah, what I did there was I pulled, because there's a tang right here, I pulled that out so that I can push this up and get the top tang off. That's all I did. So that's why they make this slotted right there, so you have that movement. So up top like that, and then just kind of locked in, I guess. Yep, like that. And then this guy. This just fits right there. Hey, that was easy. That is your part number on the new part that you need. All right, guys, now we're gonna do something we've done a million times before. We're gonna remove all the common components up here, the cowl, the tray up here, and then the air filter box. So 8mm bolts all the way across. Unsnap your two covers. 8mm. All right, let's keep going. Get our clamps here. Get our rubber grommets off for these wires. Vacuum line. Finally, the airbox. Probably get away with leaving this on, but I'm gonna pull it off anyway. All right, guys, we need to obviously change out the oil filter housing. We have a different one that the oil cooler hoses bolt to. So in order to do that, we gotta pull the intake manifold out a little bit because we have to get it a bolt behind there. That's actually pretty straightforward. The problem is oil and coolant is gonna leak out of here when we remove it. The oil is not too much of a problem. We're gonna remove the cap and let most of that oil drain back down into the pan. In fact, I've completely drained my oil because I'm just changing it because it's time to change it. It's the coolant that's gonna leak out, and it's difficult to drain out just some of the coolant from below. It's just a little easier to let it drain out from up above here because this is the highest point. Only a very small amount is gonna drain out. But when it does drain out, it's gonna get all over the front of the engine. It makes a big mess. So my trick for that is aluminum foil. I've just kind of folded it together in the middle here to make it longer. I've removed the fan to give me some room, and I just put this in like this, get it up under the hose here, and that's gonna be my sort of makeshift funnel. And that's just gonna let everything drain down to my drain pan, which is down here. All right, let's get this cap off. You do need one of these oil filter wrenches, or if you have a rubber strap wrench, that'll work as well. All right, I think the easiest way is to remove this lower coolant hose right here. This is the so-called Mickey Mouse flange because it looks like Mickey Mouse ears. Never did a video on replacing this. I need to. This part gets a little weak and it could crumble. And there's an aftermarket replacement for it. There it is. Hey, pretty good, man. did not make a huge mess and went right down into the bucket where it was supposed to. That's as difficult as it needed to be. Okay, to get the intake manifold out, we only need to pull it back a little bit, which means we just need to unbolt it. Let's get this connector out of the way. We need to unbolt it and just pull it back a little. We don't have to remove it all the way, so let's just unbolt it. They're all 11s. It is also helpful to loosen this bolt on the charge pipe. It's just a charge pipe bracket. So you see, whole intake manifold will move now, and we can kind of just pull it back a little bit, just enough to expose the bolt underneath, which we'll need to get at. So the bolt that we needed to expose is right in there. You just needed to move the intake manifold back just a little bit and give yourself room to get at that bolt. And then the other bolt is here, and then there's this one going that way. All right, these should be E10s. Ooh, I made that sucker tight. Ah, there it is. Okay, I'm gonna get this off actually first before I get the rest of those bolts out. This guy loose here. You gotta rock it a little bit. There we go. A little bit of coolant, probably, just a tiny bit. And that is it. Just a little bit of oil. Which, since we removed this coolant pipe here, none of that oil is really an issue. You're not gonna get coolant contaminating this because the coolant's gonna, again, if you drain the coolant out, that's it. You know, these are the oil passages right back here. So if you're afraid of any kind of cross-contamination, that's the best way to do it. All right, we don't need this anymore. I would say that did a pretty decent job. Nothing got on the belts, just a little bit right here on the inlet. All right, I got the brand new gaskets installed both here and back here. It's time to get this on. All right, new oil filter snapped in, change the O-ring there, change the O-ring there. That guy goes in. All right, intake manifold, let's get that back on. Just goes right back in. Those studs have little tips on them. You can just lay the bolt right on them or lay the nut on them. This is the bolt for the front. So I really want to say 15 foot-pounds. That's what I remember in my head from last time, I think. If it's wrong, I'll put the real one on the screen. 15. All right, so I just went ahead and installed the new aluminum Mickey Mouse flange anyway, just because this was the best, most opportune time to do it. I will put the details in a separate video though. All right guys, let's finish everything up here before we go back downstairs. So that goes in. Let's snap this on and make sure that it snaps into place like that. That's good. Haven't filled it up with oil yet, but I did put the new drain plug on. We just gotta tighten up this bolt here. It's just a bunch of covers to reinstall. All right, fan goes back in. This guy will go back in. Pretty soon we're gonna change this for some DCIs. That'll be nice, but for now, it's going back in. All right, let's get the whole front of the car on here. Craziness, man. Okay, now for the bumper here. Let's get them started, you know? All right. Let's reconnect those hood latch cables. The little ball goes in there. That little thing fits there. Now this piece of trim fits right down in there. We're getting pretty close to going home, guys. We're almost done. I think the big part goes on the inside. Pretty sure. I think we have to go downward. You have to face it downward, and then we need to get some tool, some kind of tool to turn it. All right, I have two options. I'm gonna try this just because it has these even fingers right here. Almost. Ah, there we go. So now this will go in, but I think I'm missing something here because this is good. This is gonna work. It's gonna fit right here like that, okay? But there's something missing down over here. I think I'm supposed to have that little duct over here. So let me go grab it, put it in, and see how that's gonna work. All right, the duct is in. Let's see if this is supposed to be there. No, it's definitely not supposed to be there. I wonder if there's another part that I was supposed to have right here. There probably was, and like I said, just wasn't there on the car. So there's definitely some other piece of ducting that I don't have, which I'm sure if I look on realoem.com, I'll find it and get it, but I don't think it's too critical, at least not for right now. So I will leave all of that off and we'll just toss this on. This is a better angle, I think. So got the first bolt, first nut in. Here's the second one. Just like that, I think. Hopefully this one is not bent and all that stuff. I guess we're gonna find out. I don't know yet until we get everything back on, but I think it's good. It looks good anyway. Okay, I bought new O-rings for this thing and 6 of them came. Don't know why, but you only need 4. So I think that was just a mistake. Let's pop those in. Okay, there and there. And this side gets 2, or gets 1 each. All right, this is what it looks like. And these oil lines are just going to fit in. And I'm currently unsure if I think they go underneath this coolant line. It just kind of seems like that's where they go. And we need to get this one in here. The loose one is the one that goes nearest the engine, the one that has the bracket on it. That goes farthest away from the engine. And this is really difficult with one hand. Okay, I think you guys get the point, but I need 2 hands. Yeah, I would not have been able to do that with one hand. Impossible. Here's the bolt for that. All right, it's a 13. Finally, this line can go on the top here. If I was a smart man, I would have waited to put the fan back in until I got this on. Come on. It might be too thick. Ah, it's too thick, man. I really should have waited to put that fan back in. And I really don't want to take it out, but I might have to. Okay, that's better. I'm gonna put the fan back in. I'm not gonna cover that, we've seen that. All right, this can go in. And that kind of finishes everything, at least up here. Our lights go back in, man. It's time for those. Just gonna reconnect it back here. And that one from back up here. Yeah, there's something wrong with that clip, but I don't think it matters right now. Before we put the bumper back on, we got this one more bolt thing here. Goes right there. Let's put the bumper on. Been looking forward to this. Let's also not forget these. Okay, cool. All right, these ones up here. All right, here we go. And you can see the oil cooler right in there. And obviously this piece of trim I'm missing, so I can't put that bolt in there. I'll save it. Okay guys, here's something critical. I have the wrong insert piece here in my bumper. This is completely blocking off the intake for the new oil cooler. So I imagine there's a different insert piece that's open all the way that I need to get. So I will source that and change that before I go drive this car. All right guys, I have put 7 quarts of oil in. It might take a little bit more with that oil cooler, not sure. 7 quarts is more than enough to run the car and let it tell us how much more it needs, if it needs another quart or whatnot. I've also put new coolant in, and now it's time to bleed the coolant. To do that, you turn the ignition on, and then you put your foot on the gas, hold it all the way to the floor for about 10 seconds, and it should kick on the auto bleed procedure. All right, here's how you do the bleed procedure. Put your key in, foot's off the brake pedal, and you turn it on. Okay. Now we're going to turn the fan on to the low setting and turn the temperature up as high as it goes. And we're gonna put our foot all the way down on the pedal for 10 seconds. Is it on? Might be on. I don't think it's on. No, it's on. I'm mistaken. I just couldn't hear it. There it goes. It's quiet. Well, everything is looking and sounding good in case you're wondering. No leaks, no nothing. It's all good. Yeah, there is a different part for this grill right here, which I'm gonna try to get. And there are a couple of 335s that came with the oil cooler at junkyards right now. I'm gonna go see if those cars are still there and see if I could get that little piece of trim, because it'll be a lot cheaper in a junkyard. All right, guys, I managed to find the part that I needed, and I think that the guy, he kind of spray painted it black or something, because there's some spray paint on the inside here as well. So yeah, he tried to hit that with some black and stuff. So it's all right. It's good enough for right now. So I'm going to put this in, and I believe now I realize now the easiest way is actually to remove the fog light first, and then it's kind of easier to pop this off because this middle trim part is kind of in the way. I removed it in the junkyard, but I realized I probably shouldn't have, because it's difficult to remove, really not meant to come out because of these tabs here. So it's best to leave it in. So easiest to just remove that, and that's the way we're going to do it. So 8. Okay. This is also the piece of trim that goes in there. Okay. I kind of take that back. This one just came the way it came. All right, anyway, that's my one is better than this guy's one, so tossing that. I really wish he hadn't have painted it, but it's good enough for right now. I will keep my eye out for another one that is maybe just even better. Yeah, I mean, black over here and just kind of grayish here. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go for now. Boom. Okay, that is the way it looks. Good enough for now. Yep, I left my bolt in here. This one should just fit right in here. Kind of like that. Cool, there we are, man. We got that duct installed. I even lucked out today. I actually managed to grab these roof rack rails from that car. Yeah, pretty awesome. Some other guys were there. They were getting everything from the car. That car had a manual transmission, so they got that first. They couldn't get these because the bolts on the inside, they're actually security Torx. It's a security T30, and nobody had that tool, including me. But I was in Long Beach, where there are a ton of hardware stores. So I just went down the street and managed to find a tool that worked for that. So I got those. Really awesome. They're going to come in very handy if I need to get some stuff home in a pinch. You know, like maybe if I need to go grab a new hood or something for a car, I can just put those on, run, grab it, strap it to the top, and yeah, that's pretty awesome. They look really stupid though, so I'm not going to run with those all the time, but nice to have them. All right, guys, I'm not gonna lie, that was really involved. That was a lot of stuff. I took the whole front of the car apart. Mentally, I probably knew or I remembered that it was gonna be a really difficult and long and involved job, and that's maybe why I was putting it off for so long. But hey, we got it done, got all the parts, and we're all done. I will let you know in the comments down below, or I'll probably pin a comment as to whether the oil temperatures are the same as they were before, or if they kind of are holding a little lower. I suspect they're probably just gonna be the same. And the point of doing this is just to give yourself consistent temperatures across the board, you know, when you're running the car really hard, like maybe on a track day, stuff like that. And again, there is that sport thermostat that you can buy. It's an aftermarket part, and I will throw a link to that in the description. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. I'm the 50s Kid. Thanks a lot for watching.